1955, Sicily. Giuseppe Tomasi de Lampedusa is diagnosed with emphysema and knows he doesn't have very much time left. Indeed, he has about 2 years left. 2 years in which he will embark upon writing one of the great modern Italian novels, one of the great novels of the 20th century, The Leopard. In Lampedusa, novel by Stephen Price, he traces this artist's, this great writer's journey through writing the book, but also zipping back into his history of his childhood, of his mother who stalks this novel, kind of lynx like, her neck outstretched, who comes to great ruin at the end. We go through his courtship of his wife Lisi. She's a linguist, the only psychoanalyst in one of the only psychoanalysts in Italy, and she worked into the night with her patients in a historical library, and he loved her for her mind and for the solitude that they shared. We have Tomasi's cousin Lucio, a poet who sees that his cousin is sort of fermenting on this kind of great art bit of literature, and you almost wonder if he is going to play Salieri to Tomasi's Mozart. In this novel, you also have Tomasi's relationship with the modern Italy, kind of embodied by the young men and a woman that he lectures to on literature, on Proust, on Stendhal, on Shakespeare, on Yeats. Giuseppe is called the monster by his friends, Il Monstro, because of the way he devours books. This book is written in a rich language. Price is a poet, and it doesn't suffer from the kind of the cloddedness of some poets' novels. But it is written in a style that indeed mirrors The Leopard in its beautiful lushness. Here's just a little description of Giuseppe sitting down and starting The Leopard. He worked with a sober clarity, some part of himself stripped away, a concentration rising in him that he had not felt since his youth, a thing liquid and powerful and cold and immersive. And when the words slowed, he slowed and waited, calm, until the words came again and his hand began to move, deliberate, steady, soft across the soft paper, his fingertips afire in the late and furious hour. And indeed, this novel is about the late and furious hour of the last years of his life. Now, this may be one of these novels that was meant for me to read. I had just earlier this year read The Leopard, and then heard that, there was this novel Lampedusa coming out about the writing of The Leopard, and I was curious about that. It's like, what would this bring to the world that The Leopard itself hadn't brought already? So I picked it up. And the thing about this book is it's great at showing the interiority of this shy, sometimes fearful man who has made a point in his life of making no gesture or action that would be noticed. He was devoted to his mother. Her name was Beatrice, like Dante's angel. All his childhood, Giuseppe repeated that name like a magic ward, feeling dizzy at the thought that she had made him, that he was a part of her. He would watch her move with grace and with the grace and magnificence of a lynx, padding through the sunlit halls of the palazzo, her long pale throat extended, her dark hair up. A creature admired, adored in the light that he, her son, would shine upon her. She would lift the little songbirds out of their elaborate cages and hold them on her outstretched fingers, and they would sing for her, as he sings for her. And you go with someone like Alexandra Wolf, who entered the room like a door closing, blocking out the light. He is definitely between these two women. He marries Alexandra, but ends up living with his mother for up until the war, and until the war kind of forces them all together, and which does not go well. So yes, the book is up for the Giller Prize. I don't know. I haven't read any of the other Giller books. I read this book because I love the leopard, and you know, I love this book for kind of giving me the gift of giving me kind of an imagining of the person behind this book, of his interiority in a way that I don't know if that could actually be captured in a straight biography. This is a story about an artist who caught on to something at the very end of his life. Something happened at the end of his life that propelled him to say, I'm going to write this. The book says, oh, this is about him being finding, getting a kind of a swift kick to the head in a way of his mortality, and that, him thinking about his legacy, and that, this is his child, this is his monster that he has created. And it's interesting that he is birthing something monstrous. So yes, Lampedusa, a languid, beautiful novel about a guy in his late 50s writing a novel. If that's something that may appeal to you, it might. I think the big thing about this novel is it is indeed about kind of the artist process. It's about how something is created. It's about how, perhaps kind of stripping it back, what's our motivations for saying, I want to create something, I want to leave something behind of myself, and when that is not biological, when that is something where I'm going to create something with of how I feel about what I think about the world. This is an extremely hopeful story, because this is somebody who actually figured that out in time and did it. And for that, it's a very powerful portrait of that. Spoilers: Tomasi died before the Leopard was published. But it's never gone out of print, been published in multiple languages, is considered one of the great pieces of Italian literature of the 20th century. And I, having read it and having loved it so much, I've wanted to seek out other books. I would say that is true. Do you need to read The Leopard to enjoy Lampedusa? I think it helps. Especially if you love the book as much as I do. It was definitely my motivation for picking it up. Having picked up the book, it is so beautifully written. There are parts that it maybe felt like it got a little too languid for me, but it is a contemplative book. It is about a man dying, about a man writing a novel, and yet in some ways, Price is still able to kind of inject this with an urgency and a feeling that really brought me along. The final sections are gorgeous in their kind of elegy and in their consideration, in their engagement with the idea also of perspectives, of how things get looked at. So that was my review of Lampedusa. Hope you enjoyed the review. More videos later.